What's up, everyone? Back again with another video. If you checked out my last video, you'll know that we're working on something different. So instead of the dirt bikes and quads that you guys are used to, we're actually going to be working on this 2004 Lexus GX470. This is going to be a project for my wife, so her and the baby can ride nice, ride in style. So let me check you out and let you know what the plan for today is. All right, so my plan of action is, well, I don't know if I said it in the last video, but I'll say it in this video. This motor has a blown head gasket, and I was hoping to buy either a donor car or find a motor, but frankly, they want too much for this motor at a junkyard. And they also want too much for a donor car. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna attempt to rebuild, or at least essentially change the head gasket. So we're gonna take all this stuff off. And I'm gonna start with the intake box, then all these wires and lines and cables and all, just kind of just separating everything from the engine, get it out of the way. And then I think we'll do the radiator, pull this out. Then we'll pull the manifold off, or the intake manifold, and just kind of work our way down this thing. And then eventually get the headers off from the bottom, or the wheel well. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna take off the intake box, and start taking apart some of these lines up here. And I'll show you when we get to that point. I would show you, but I'm on limited time, and I want to kind of get this process quickly done. I'm going to order a stand for this, for my camera, so like that I could just put you up in a corner and watch the work be done. But for now, I'm going to take parts off camera and then tell you how it came off, and I ran into any issues, whatever. So we'll be back. All right, so we took off a good bit, fair amount. We took off the intake box all the way coming through. We took off all the wiring coming across this side of the head. We took off all the wiring on this side of the head too, coming across this way. So the spark plugs, the injectors. There's some lines that go into, like, I think that's probably a knock sensor, but I think it's in here. I don't know. There's one, two, and then 3 and 4 by the oil filter, and then on top of the oil filter is another connector. Oh, and the AC connector. So you take those off, and then you can kind of just peel this back. We took off the top radiator hose. We gotta take off the bottom one still. I need to go get another 12 millimeter so I can hold one and unscrew the other, because right now it's slipping and I really don't want to strip those. What else? We took off the fuel lines right here. And then I think next time, or within this video, for me it'll be tomorrow, but for you it'll be in a couple seconds. But we're gonna take off the intake manifold. I think a lot of people for some reason take off the throttle body, but I don't think we have to. So I plan on leaving all these hoses on, and just, if I do have to take it off, everything will still be assembled like that when I go to put it back. Like, all the hoses are kind of routing where they go. I think I'll have to take this one off and that one off, and then unbolt the manifold and pull that out, and then we could get to the valley. I don't know if you can see in there, but it's dirty. Also, there was some radiator fluid still, or water, a little bit in the system, so we drained it. The oil's draining now, and I'll probably just let it drain overnight. And then, yeah, so we'll work on this middle part and take this off, and kind of keep trying to clear out the sides as much as possible. Just like that, when you unbolt the heads, they just come slide kind of over and out, nice and easy. And this is pretty good so far. But then, oh yeah, we got to unbolt these headers and the cat. So that's gonna be a big one. So I think I'm gonna take this off, and then I'm gonna take off the cats, and then at that point I think we should be ready. Oh, and the radiator, yeah, I gotta take the radiator off so I can take all this front assembly stuff off. So yeah, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go get another 12mm, unbolt the fan and the shroud, and then take out the radiator, undo everything in the front, take off the manifolds, and then take off the headers. But I think I'll come back after each time I take something off. But the top stuff, I mean, it didn't take me more than like an hour or two to kind of clear the top of the engine. So we'll be back. I think I'm gonna work on this radiator next, since it's damn near halfway out. So work on the radiator, and then we'll focus on the intake manifold. All right, welcome back. We got a good bit off, I think, from the last time, or when I clipped out to when I'm clipping in now. I think we took off the radiator, we took off the fan shroud, the fan shroud, and then the fan, the water pump fan. We took off all the front accessories except the AC pump. I'm trying to finesse it and see if I could take it off without undoing the AC lines. Maybe. I don't know. I'll keep messing with it. If it ain't possible, it ain't possible. We'll safely get rid of the Freon that's in there. We took off the intake manifolds. It is crazy where the starter is. That's your starter. If you have a 7.3 V8 from Toyota, this is where your starter is. Right there. You got to take off this big old manifold. This big guy. And maybe some fuel rails. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if you got to take off the fuel rails, but I know you have to at least unbolt them, because the fuel rails mount to the... Yes, you do. You got to take off the fuel rails, because the fuel rails mount to the intake manifold. So your starter's right there. And this looks clean because I cleaned it. Well, at least I took everything out of here. Before, all that stuff was in there. Every bit of that was in that valley. So we cleaned that out. So let me see. We took off the radiator, the fan, the shroud. We took off all the accessories, but they're kind of just hanging out here. You know, we just need them off so we can get the heads off. But the heads are pretty clear from all that. We gotta take off the AC pump because the thermostat, I gotta get a new one of this because I don't trust this one. I'm assuming this is probably why the head gasket blew to begin with. We gotta take the AC pump off so we can take the thermostat off, and it'll open up the rest of the belt. This is already loose. I'm leaving it on there for now. So I've been putting everything in baggies, by the way, stuff that I can't put back on the engine. I've been just putting them in baggies and labeling it. So I recommend you do the same. So when you go to put this stuff back together within your time frame, you might not remember where every single bolt goes. You know, I recommend you label it, put it in a Ziploc. I got that box of Ziplocs at the dollar store for $1, I think. Came with 64 bags. That's more than enough. I did use a magnet to grab each bolt from the intake manifold. I do recommend this so one doesn't drop. That back one dropped back there on me, but I'll find it later when I take off the head. I already made a note of it. This wiring is peeled back as much as it can be. I unbolted the wiring there and there. So the head's pretty much free except for the intake manifold, and I think, or not the intake manifold, the headers and the catalytic converter. So that's gonna be the next step on this, is to take that off, and the heads will be completely free. and ready to come out. So I think for the cat, under the cat, there's 2 bolts, and then you got to take off all the bolts at the head. I'm not exactly sure how many are on there, but we'll find out soon enough. So next, we're going to take off this tensioner. I took the wheel off on purpose, and I put it in a Ziploc or Ziploc bag. I say Ziploc because, like, you know, you zip it and then you log what it is. My wife says it's Ziploc, which that is technically the proper term, but you know, I mean, come on, zip log, because I like to log my stuff. But anyways, take off that tensioner, take off the water pump. Gotta take off that AC pump first, and then all we'll have is this cover right here and this wheel, which we'll use that once we get. We'll probably take this wheel off so we can take this cover off. Then we'll put the wheel back on so we can put everything in timing before we take the heads off. I think that's the game plan. So I think the next step, yep, we're gonna take this AC pump off, take this water pump off, take these head or exhaust or headers. I'm sorry, I've been out here for a while. Take the headers off with the cats, because the cats are attached to the headers. Take these off on the both sides, and then we'll finally be able to take off the belt, take off the cam or the cam gear covers, I guess is what these are right here. Looks like this one was leaking, so was that one. So, and then finally we can pull the heads. So I'm gonna get on that and we'll be back. All right, you guys, so we got, I think the last time I was on here, so I'm sorry, it's been a couple days, but the last time we were on here, we were taking off all the accessories. Don't know if I took off the intake manifold, but I'll tell you what I've done so far and what I've learned. So this is a good lesson for everybody. Check the easy stuff first before you start assuming. So I took off the intake manifold. I don't know if I said that earlier. I took off the fuel rail first, the intake manifold, the radiator bypasses in the back and the front, because I was still under the impression I was going to take off the heads. I took off all the accessories, the power steering pump, the AC pump, power steering pump, alternator. Took off the main pulley, and now I got this contraption here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is basically to pull off the crank sprocket. And I'm gonna show you how that comes off with this tool. I rented this. It was like $8 at O'Reilly's. And their smallest bolts actually fit. You kind of got to force them on, but they fit. What I found was that it was off of timing when I started going into this side of the engine. This side specifically. The crank and this cam would meet up with their timing, but this one wouldn't. Now, our numbers were low on the passenger side. All right? So if you look on here, we got 100, 60, 60, and 90. That was on the left side. The right side wasn't too bad, but I think it'll be better with everything in timing. So my goal today is to put everything back in timing. I'm also going to change this crank seal because it's been leaking pretty hard around here. So that's why I'm pulling this bearing out. I'm going to change the crank seal, and then we're going to put it all back in timing. When I put it back in timing, we're going to do another compression test and see if these numbers change. So let me work on that. All right, you guys. So kind of got ahead of myself off camera. Gonna try and record as much as I can with my new stand. I hope this is better for you guys and you guys enjoy the videos better. But so this is what I've done and the conclusion I came to. So I don't think this has a blown head gasket. I think this thing was just out of timing. The tensioner was snapped in half when I took it apart. And before that, timing was off. Now, the car wasn't smoking much, but it was acting like it was misfiring like crazy. So that could be, you know, a blown head gasket, but there was no radiator fluid mixing with the oil, right? So when I started breaking all this down, I saw it was off timing. Well, I'm like, wait a minute, this thing's off timing. And as I kept breaking it down, I found the broken tensioner pulley, which I'll show you a picture of it here. Now, the only thing that I wanted to do extra down here is change the main crank seal, or the crank seal. It's right here in the middle. I was able to take this sprocket off with a tool that I rented from O'Reilly's. I'll show you it now. So this is the tool. I got it from O'Reilly's. It's not a crank pulley tool, but it's one of their pulley tools. I forget the name, but I'll put it in the description down below. These bolts, they screwed on there by hand with a ratchet. So you kind of have to force them in there, but they're not doing any structural damage to the actual sprocket. So this tool helped a lot pulling this seized pulley in there. I guess it would have been this way. And it comes with that fitting right there at the end, so you don't mess up your threads for the actual pulley for your serpentine belt, which is nice. So now I had the other seal for this. I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can. But, you know, you see this right here. This is your crankshaft arm. And then all the way at the oil pump housing, there's a seal between both of them. And that's your crank seal. And that seal was leaking on this, so I wanted to change it. Well, the one they gave me today was the wrong one, so we had to special order the right one, and it's going to come in tomorrow. So once we slap that in there, we could put that sprocket back in. Once we put the sprocket back in, we can put the tensioner pulley back in. Once we put the tensioner pulley back in, we can put the belt on, and then we can put the actual tensioner on right here, which will, you know, once you pull the pin, it'll put pressure on the tensioner pulley and it'll lock in the belt. And then obviously everything will be in time when I do it. At that point, I could truly test if this has a bad head gasket or not, because then I could do a compression test. I don't mind the tools, all this stuff. This is just my little workbench for right now. But once I got this all in timing, I can test compression. If compression comes back good, like the right side did originally, because the right side was lined up with the crank, and we got some pretty decent numbers off the right side. If the left side and the right side show good numbers, I don't think we got a blown head gasket. And if that's the case, I think we made out like a bandit. Because right now, I bought this vehicle for $2,500. I paid $300 for the water pump and the timing kit. So that's what, $1,800 or $2,800? I'm sorry. And if that's the case, then I just got to buy a few other gaskets for like the what's this big thing? So the fuel. The injectors need gaskets, so I'll buy those. The intake manifold needs 2 gaskets. I'll buy those. And then the surfaces where the water bypasses are, and then the water thermostat, I'll need those gaskets. And then a thermostat. And then I could just put it back together, crank it, turn it on, and see what it does. So I'm not mad that I brought it down to this point, because technically I didn't have to bring it down to this point, and I should have checked timing before anything, but I was told by the previous owner that it was a blown head gasket. They were certain it was a blown head gasket. So I took his word. Now I know better. Don't do that again. So, but that's where we're at with it. But I think this is where I'm going to leave the video for now. I'm going to get the rest of the parts. I don't want to hold videos back for you guys. So give me a couple days. We'll come back with another video, and we'll actually test timing, and we'll know for sure what we're going to do. So please make sure to like and subscribe. It'll help out a lot. If you have any tips or pointers or any suggestions while I'm in here to swap, like the starter, should I swap the starter? I mean, it still works, but should I get it rebuilt or something? Let me know. What do you think? I've never really heard of the 2UZ getting a new starter put in it. I'm pretty sure these things last forever, but if any of you guys had a bad starter, please let me know. I'll get this one changed out. If not, I'm leaving it in there. But make sure to leave a comment, like, subscribe. It'll go a long way. But I hope y'all have a good day. Peace.